All right, let's see what we can do here. There we go. So what have we got? Can people see this? You can say something in voice chat or in the voice chat room. We have the Selesnya Aura's mirror, although Sanctum Weaver on one side, Favoured Hoplite on the other side. Interesting builds. There's been a Tempest of Light. Both players have gained over 1 billion life. We're back down to semi-reasonable totals. Both players have active Lurus. There's 2 Sheltered by Ghosts in the graveyard for the player that's kind of behind. This is gonna be disastrous. Yeah, might take a while to figure out this. What's under these Sheltered by Ghosts? Nothing? Nothing. Interesting. So there's been some... I don't know what that means, but somehow there are nothing under these Sheltered by Ghosts. Maybe just played to give lifelink and draw cards. So, building up some bodies here. Only 1 card drawer and no Spirit Dancer on GRTE's side. Only 4 cards in hand versus 7 on the other side. It's going to be pretty interesting. The big creature is a Sithis, not a Spirit Dancer, but presumably next turn they're going to build up their Spirit Dancer and have 2 big attackers, which will almost certainly amount to lethal, given as they have 7 cards in hand. They passed with 3 mana open last turn. I wonder what that means, with 7 cards in hand. I mean, mostly you just spam auras at sorcery speed in this deck, but they did not. Here's a Sheltered by Ghosts. Oh, onto Sanctum Weaver. Not Spirit Dancer. What are we afraid of to not build up our Spirit Dancer? Or is it just a question of the Spirit Dancer will be the biggest target, so don't put the removal, the removal spell that can be undone onto the thing they're going to most want to kill. Okay, so they do have a Shardmaid's Rescue, the 1 bit of instant speed interaction in this matchup. And it's pretty good here. Although, presumably with their 7 cards in hand, they can build up 2 creatures that when combined are lethal and force at least a block from SRAM. Maybe, I'll say it is an interesting one. Protection from white will knock off 3 auras. So I don't know if you want to do it on your own creature to get it in. Oh, and they have 6 cards in hand, and that's as far as they're going. What does that mean? 6 cards in hand, and they didn't bother even to present lethal. Are they playing around something? Some kind of Wrath type situation, or... What are you playing around there? I mean, they can't just have 6 lands in hand, can they? I mean, we can see 10 lands. If they had 6 lands in hand, there'd barely be a land left in the deck. So, extreme probabilities. Interesting. I mean, there's not a lot to do at instant speed in this matchup. Tempest of Light is an instant, so maybe they're letting GRTE commit a ton to the board, and then they're going to kind of wipe everything down to they've got 3 core Spirit Dancers. Opponent has a core Spirit Dancer? I'm not sure. Lurus is under a Sheltered by Ghosts right now, so it really opens up a lot to destroy all enchantments, although it does also kill their biggest creature and all the things on it. Yeah, I mean, I guess it's got to be Tempest of Light. So they've decided, I'm not spamming to the board when I've got this Tempest of Light in hand. And I can just unlock my Lurus and kind of reduce them to some vanilla creatures and then untap with a lot of mana and a lot of auras and go crazy and just maybe even win in 1 turn. So this is probably a kind of combat attack step Tempest of Light. I mean, if they do have Tempest of Light, a second one, then this, these Sheltered by Ghosts are going to look waffle silly. How many Tempest of Light would you play? I mean, if you really wanted to win the mirror, you could play a bunch. I don't know, it kind of kills your own stuff, which is curious, but I mean, right here, it's going to be absolutely devastating if that's what it is. Just nuts, bananas devastating. So, I mean, you probably just do it now if you have it. Or maybe end of turn is better. You don't care too much about Optimistic Scavenger. And you're just going to win next turn, I think, or at least force a whole bunch of chumps from the non... Okay, so it's not that. It's just I wanted to pass the turn with 6 cards in hand because I wanted to. And it was all... I don't know. I do not know. So I played this deck a bunch, but not in these exact configurations. And I can't imagine passing the turn with 5 or 6 mana available and 6 or 7 cards in hand. Unless, you know, something funky was going on. No, I mean, we're deploying Sheltered by Ghosts is here, so it ain't Tempest of Light being slow rolled. It was just none of those 6 cards made any sense to play. Interesting. It's a lot of Ward 2s, but these Sanctum Weavers are pretty good at paying Ward 2 taps for 7, 2-drop taps for 7 mana. It's like Harbaz Druid in the old Allies decks. I mean, 2K Lichess had more cards in hand and a better board ever since we tuned in here. And that remains true. Okay, yeah, freed their own Lurus rather than going after Lurus. So it's just infinite Sheltered by Ghosts forever. Oh no. Yeah, I mean, you've got to have your own Lurus on the go. It's even more important than getting rid of their Lurus in a sense. I think. Crazy game. Maybe not the most skill-intensive and or interesting mirror of all time, but a lot of things do happen. A lot of game actions are taken. Only 17 cards left in library for 2K Lichess. Might, if we can build up this core Spirit Dancer into a big life linker, which, you know, we can almost kind of see on board with the Lurus in the graveyard, then we can just kind of go until decking. Maybe Alcid can, you know, sack to give something protection so they don't gain life, and then, or just, you know, block itself and sack. Maybe just skipping 1 turn of massive life gain is good. Daybreak Coronet in GRT's deck, but 3 of them played already. So who are we going after here? Lurus, presumably, with this Sheltered to stop the infinite Sheltered war. No, we're just going after the big guy. We're just afraid of actually dying. There is a guy with Cetessan training on it, which is pretty real. Oh, here's our one piece of interaction in this matchup. Counter your Sheltered by Ghosts, gain a life, draw 4 cards. Some of these draws are maze. We may see them start to say no, and yeah, in fact, 2K Lichess started to say no to the optional draws here. At 51 life, better board, active Lurus. I think that makes a lot of sense. Interesting. Okay, so with 9 cards in hand, the best thing we've got is an Abundant Growth. That's curious. maybe a lot of lands. I mean, the thing is, you know, you draw a bunch of cards. Some of them are lands, some of them are auras. The auras you play, so you do end up, you know, with a lot of lands in hand. Maybe these players have more lands in hand than I'm imagining, and that makes some of these turns make more sense. You know, maybe it's nearly all lands. We can only see about 13 of 2K Lichess's lands, and they are most of the way through their library, so I guess it would make sense if they're holding really a surprising, what might be a surprising number of lands. But they do have the better board, they do have an active Lurrus, they do have a Sheltered by Ghosts in the graveyard. GRT is still drawing. I mean, I suppose with 3 more cards, 4 more cards in library, there's not too much harm in drawing. Shram is not a May, Sithis is not a May, so they both have one not a May draw in play. The Cetessan training guy seems possibly relevant, you know? Couple of ethereal armors on there could be trouble. Draws down to 17 in the library. It's only 1 card ahead / behind now. Of course, their next person to draw involuntarily is 2K Lichess, so they're kind of 2 cards ahead. So here's another ethereal armor. So we're just going to try and get in for max life gain, but this Alcid does make that not work. So do you even leave this guy on D in case Cetessan Training Man comes in for 1 million? Yeah, looks like that's what they've decided. So presumably discarding 7 lands from the 14 card hand. What the hell is this? What the hell is this matchup? This is actually currently only 1-0 to 2K Lichess, so the clock may come into it as well. It's clearly had a couple of games like this. Yeah, so there's no real way to use the protection of the Alcid to get somebody in for a ton of damage. But if we Sheltered by Ghosts from the graveyard, which was always there, always obviously available to us as a play, we can get rid of this 27-28 lifelinker, and suddenly it looks very, very, very bad for GRT. In fact, they're just dead, aren't they? Yeah. Okay, and that's the match. Let's see if we can find another match. So, I'm currently in standard tournament practice. I'm not sure how that happened. That's a severe oversight. Okay, so Krandar and Ariana 20 are still playing. Let's go see what's going on with them. Let me switch over OBS. Nope, that is the wrong thing. That is the right thing. Okay, and let me switch over Discord. If I can ever figure out how to do this. Share your screen. There we go. Okay, let's see what we got. Looks like we have mono white humans with no cards in hand and only planes on board against Orzhov Control. Current record is not clear. Is the bot not here? No, it is here. It's currently 1-1. So this looks like, I guess, it's probably over. 12 damage to deal, but we have a Kaya and a Timeless Dragon. Should be fine to do that. Oh, we even have veteran survivors change teams via abstruse appropriation. You know that you are ahead when you abstruse appropriation a veteran survivor. Do have Lurrus. but there are 6 cards in hand for all sort of control. So, yeah. I'm not quite sure about this matchup. It sort of seems like the Wrath deck is supposed to win, but I don't think the stats really bear that out. You know, you get a fast start, or you have a Thalia, or whatever. Okay, and that's enough of that, says the Humans player. Honestly, fair enough. Let's try and pick our next game a bit more judiciously, instead of tuning into something that's essentially over already. Oh no. Okay, so we have equipment raton thing from Assassin's Creed versus Auras. Let's get that up for you. Joink. Switching this to this, and switching Discord. Share your screen. Okay. So here we have a complicated board state. Let's see what the current record is. Probably 1-1. Oh, man, everything's a little slow right now on Magic Online. But Planet Overlord is struggling back, although struggling back with a removal spell that also makes a flying lifelink ward 2/4/3 and draws a card and puts a +1/+1 counter is a pretty good struggling back, I guess. They're going after Dissection Tools, not freeing up their core Skyfisher. Dissection Tools gives Death Touch lifelink +2/+2. So they're going to gain 5 life here, presumably, flying over. Raton is in play, and he says whenever he deals combat damage to a player, create a 1/1 black assassin creature token with menace. When you do, return equipment from your graveyard to the battlefield and attach it to that token. But there is currently no equipment in the graveyard, so he just makes a 1/1 if he hits you right now, which is, I guess, not so bad. And gaining the life, obviously very important. Don't want to get damned or something and miss out on the 5 points of life here. 5, 7, 9. There's 10 points of power in play for Emerald Orc, so yeah, just staying back on blocking seems pretty terrible. You just kind of die to a removal spell, or just about. Although, of course, if this creature dies, it will bring Dissection Tools back into play, which does create a manifest and attach to the manifest and so on. So going after Dissection Tools is a little risky. Only 2 cards in hand for Emerald Orc. MTG bot is not in this game, so we can't find out what the record is. Surprise, much played card of Season 36 Split Skin Gold. I don't know if it's that much of a surprise, I guess. Kind of a souped up Elvish Visionary in the right deck, isn't it? And sometimes you actually actively want to discard something, so it's pretty good. Okay, here comes a menace guy and a big guy. The little guys stay back. I guess the 1 instant speed aura could make Sithis into a 2/3 or even a 3/4 with the Optimistic Scavenger ability. I wonder if you had it, if you would block with Sithis and trade for the Raton and get back a core Skyfisher. Looks like Secret Menace is going to do some clock damage to Planet Overlord here. Better than Secret Reach, which can kill creatures. Oh, are we discarding? Oh, we are discarding an equipment. It's all about to come off. Here comes a 7/7 with Vindicate on attack. Is it Vindicate or Exile? Vindicate. Okay, that's pretty strong. So Planet Overlord at sorcery speed gets to go kind of ham now. Build up their 2 creatures or whatever it might be. Would love another Sheltered by Ghosts to get rid of probably the armor. You're already kind of in a risky situation for removal, so doubling down on that by exiling the armor is probably alright. With 6 mana in play, you can't really go after the token because they could just equip it. Here's a Shram, so we're going to cast some auras and draw some cards. Chose to play that off the Brushland, so probably not many green cards in hand. Okay. Still 3 cards. Presumably at least one of them is an aura, and we're about... No, okay. So unless we have the flash aura, we may be down to lands in hand for Planet Overlord or something similar. Which means presumably that the... Oh! This Condemn is pretty good. Might be game winning even. It's hard to think. Well, we could have the flash aura still. Would be pretty darn good here. We do have it. So get a counter, gain a life, draw 3 cards, gain the life from attacking with the scavenger. Don't have my guide. I don't give you back a dissection tool. I would pay 1 mana and a card for that, for sure. Still looks kind of dangerous because unless we have another one, this Argentum Armor is going to be able to pick off our choice of targets. And also, you know, get in as a 7/7 menace. Although I guess we're gaining 6 or 7 life this turn for Planet Overlord, so not really in danger of a kind of alpha kill you. A lot may depend on Emerald Orc's access to even more removal spells. I only have 1 card in hand though. But Argentum Armor is a form of removal spell sitting there. Every declare attackers. Maybe a small blessing that PD bot rather was not able to join this game, as is not able to tell us that Raton, what's his name, is not legal in Penny Dreadful, even though he is, due to his crazy colon and other diacritical marks in his name. At some point that will be fixed forever and it will never happen again, but that day is not today. So pretty good board for both players. Not much in the way of defense here for Planet Overlord. Can Emerald Orc exploit that and get 18 damage in somehow? No. Says no. Says I'm going to play it a little slower than that. I'm just getting in with my vindicating 7/7. Now what are we going to vindicate here? We've got 3 card drawers, so it's probably the scavenger, yeah. Which, I don't know, it kind of feels like a losing proposition, right? I mean, we just drew 3 cards off the Shard Mage's Flutie Flip. So we're just going to... Oh my god, and we already have another one, so it's not even going to die. And this is starting to look very good for auras. Presumably, if Emerald Orc had drawn Dam and thought that was a strategy, we would have come in with everyone. Plus, Dam frees up a Skyfisher, so it's not even good for you to Wrath. Yeah, it looks pretty darn good for auras here. They have a big guy, 3 card drawers, and a Wrath currently really favors them. So what more could you ask for, really? I mean, more than 2 minutes on the clock, I guess. It's probably Emerald Orc's main path to victory now is the famed MTGO lag. There's a lot of triggers and a lot of attacking to be done to do 18 damage against a player with this many creatures in play. Interesting that the Likeness Looter has flying and is available for a chump block for the Scavenger. Nothing else can block it. Maybe looking to, like, Sheltered by Ghosts, get rid of the Likeness Looter just for, like, clock purposes. Then you've got a 2-turn clock, maybe even a 1-turn clock if you can really play a lot of 1-mana auras. Starting with an Abundant Growth does not show immense strength to me. You know, my first play here might be a Flying Aura, a Trample Aura, and Ethereal Armor, if I had any of those things, or Sheltered by Ghosts, if I had any of those things available to me. So presumably just lands and kind of mostly garbage auras in hand, maybe more of the Shard Mage's Rescue, although we've seen 2 of those, although they are halfway through their deck, could definitely have another one. But yeah, Abundant Growth, I mean, it does draw another card. If you're specifically looking for Sheltered by Ghosts, it's the most efficient way to dig for it. Draw 4 for 1 mana. So maybe that's the thinking. And there might also something to be said for just attacking with Scavenger 3 times and trying to keep your clock high. I mean, they've spent a minute since the last turn, so actually they're going to lose on time. So it might be F6, attack Scavenger 3 times. And, you know, that loses to a lot of things that playing out the full game plan doesn't lose to, but you've got 45 seconds now and clearly lagging a little bit or something. And I think just playing at your cards at this point is essentially a concession, because it's taking, 10-ish seconds to resolve an aura, and the Spider Umbra doesn't really change anything. You need to attack 3 times as it stands. Only Sheltered by Ghosts or maybe Ethereal Armor changes that. Yeah, definitely think this one's going on time. 20 seconds left. I think I would F6 for the rest of the game and just hope that attacking only with Scavenger was good enough, because there really isn't any other strategy available to you. Yeah, no. In fact, they're not even going to get around to attacking this turn, maybe, let alone attacking 3 times like they need to. Yeah, no, they have given up and timed out. Oh well, that's how it goes sometimes. Let's see if there are any more matches still going. Yeah, there is at least one. Let's see if it's still got anything left to see. Yeah, I mean, both players have highish life totals and cards in hand, so let's tune into this one. Let me switch over. So this is Spicy Chickens, a player I'm not familiar with MTG Fan 1996, sometime winner of the Penny Dreadful 500, some years ago now. And let me get it up on Discord. There we go. So here we are. And what's the state of play? Well, there was a Brass's Tongue Grinder in play and 7 cards in hand for Spicy Chickens. That has gone away. There's now a Kaya on 10, a big Kaya on 10 loyalty, another Kaya on 4 loyalty. Okay, so whatever Spicy Chickens is trying to do, looking at deck, it looks like it's just kind of controlling. It's lots of draw 7 or, Wheel of Fortune style cards, and then some things that work from graveyard. So they decide to play a Timeless Dragon, which has an on-board answer, and tap out of all coloured mana, and leave a Smiting Helix that they could have cast this turn, just hanging out in the graveyard. It might have been good to do something with that, but yeah, okay, so despite 7 cards in hand, maybe just not the tools to deal with 2 active Kayas. An MTG Fan just kind of chipping in over a couple of turns for all the necessary damage. So unless there's some big combo here, it looks like it's more like Value and Wraths, Yorion, various ways to kind of discard these things that are good from the graveyard. Not so much like a big combo finish. I mean, 8 cards in hand. If there is a big combo finish, they have the mana and the cards to do it. Discard all the cards in your hand. Okay, so they do not currently have in hand anything that wins the game, because they've decided to discard their hand and gain 9 life and oh my god. So they're drawing 11 down to 8 in library here, going back up to 17. Do they have a way to recycle their graveyard? They have things that they can use from their graveyard, like this Elspeth with Escape and the Lightning Helix. Okay, Null Spine Invocation. Can this go to any target? You discard a card, mana value X, deals X damage to any target. So we can take out here, you have to pay X as well. So we can take out Kaya, the small Kaya. Yeah, but not the big Kaya. And then, do they have a 7-drop? So I see Response Resurgence in their graveyard, which has a CMC of, question mark. Well, it was in their graveyard. Did it leave their graveyard somehow? I swear I saw a Response Resurgence in here. Oh, there it is. But if they have another one of those, that has 7... Oh, okay. But of course, this Kaya has abilities, which are highly relevant here, one of which is to steal the Nullspine Invocation and make it 1-1. So, 8 cards in the library, 5 minutes on clock. Looking pretty scary. A lot of watchers in this game. Oh, it's currently 1-0 to Spicy Chickens. Both players have 5 minutes, so actually... Yeah, so we're going to go to a game 3 here. Interesting. Yeah, so, okay. So, I mean, we can see almost their entire deck here. They're a red-white control deck that use the graveyard a lot and have Yorion. Yorion for not a ton of value. Flickering Saheeli's Lattice is not nothing. But it's basically sort of these Brass's Tunnel Grinder style cards where you discard your hand and draw that many or that many +1 Cathartic Union and so on. And we're discarding the Escape Elspeth, Smiting Helix, which maybe is in the deck in smaller numbers, although at least 2 post board. You know, and then we have Wraths, which I guess Orzhov doesn't care about too much. Condemned. So, yeah, I guess we're looking to, like, beat up on creature decks and get our card advantage in a weird way with Squee and Escape cards and so on. In this matchup, I mean, we can see every card except 15 here. There doesn't seem to be a kind of trump or a, you know... I guess Nullspine Invocation... discard an expensive card, kill your Planeswalker, and then, you know, once all your Planeswalkers are dead, start chucking 4 drops plus at your face is something. But Vindicate deals with that. The expensive Kaya deals with that. Obstruse Appropriation deals with that. And maybe sideboard Heliod's Intervention. So it doesn't seem like a super solid plan. I'm sure Spicy Chickens wants to play, you know, humans or something all day. But I don't know. They won game 1. So we'll see. Heartwarming Redemption rather is... So it's just a discard X, draw X plus... Well, you have to discard your whole hand and draw that many +1 and gain life. So really doesn't do a ton for 4 mana unless gaining 7 life and putting a bunch of cards in your graveyard that are currently in your hand is super exciting, which, you know, I guess is what they've tried to make true here. Interesting deck anyway. Elspeth seems like the only Planeswalker. Response Resurgence is really just a pretty bad removal spell that happens to have 7 CMC for Nullspine Invocation. If you've made creatures with your Elspeth, who, you know, can come back again and again and again and make 2/1/1 human soldier creature tokens a lot, then I guess the Resurgence part might win you a game. Looks like it's a one-off anyway. Or at least only one in the cards we can see. Okay. So some deep thinking going on in sideboarding. Not just at least one player not just going back to the same 75, although there could be some restarting MTGO to fight the lag, with time being probably the deciding factor going on. So we have really just so many of these discard draw cards. Cathartic Union, Heartwarming Redemption, Brass's Tunnel Grinder, Gaia Reach Sanitarium. It's like, you know, it's like a third of the deck just draws and discards, and then Squee the Eidolon that comes back to your hand when you cast, is it a multicolored spell? And and some works from graveyard cards to take advantage of, and then just some Wraths and Condemns, which didn't come out in sideboarding, so, you know, nothing better to present post-board against the control deck than those. I guess Abstruse Appropriation is maybe the best card here for Orzhov, because they can get the Elspeth that's otherwise, you know, going to come back again and again from Vindicates or being attacked or whatever it might be, you know, and then maybe just not even play it, you know, just kind of say, now you are real low on win conditions, buddy. You know, Force Mighting Helix to the face did not end a game of Magic, so, yeah. I wonder how they won game 1. I mean, it is true if they make the Elspeth and it doesn't get answered, it's a real pain. I mean, no control deck likes to see a resolved Planeswalker doing its thing on the opposing side. Doesn't seem to be any way to recycle the deck. So it's interesting, you know, maybe if every time you cast one of these Heartwarming Redemptions you gain 11 life, that's, you know, that does something interesting. But if you are digging towards kind of your own demise with no way to kind of shuffle everything back in, then it's really only interesting against an aggro deck where you can kind of then wrath everything away, say ha ha ha, I'm on 43 life, and deploy your Planeswalker. Not so good in a control mirror. I mean, hard to be equipped for the control mirror in red-white, I guess. You know, and if the field is going to be all humans, and there's certainly a bunch of it out there, just being on the pure gain life, kill everything deck is an option. I don't know why this game has not started again yet. Makes me wonder what's going on. Did I misunderstand whether this match was over or not? Perhaps. I'm not the brightest. Already? Yes, I guess so. Okay, well that's round 1. I'll see you after I've crushed in round 2.